What's going on, everybody? Toby Wayne from the Toby Wayne Show. Today I'm going to be working on my Slenderman sculpt. I'm just going to jump right in here and get to work in here on this piece. It's been a few days since I've worked on him, so it's kind of nice to get back into the getting my hands on the clay. Always a therapeutic thing to be doing. This is this bust actually has come together pretty quick. I was pretty surprised at how fast he came together. I think I started him on another stream. I think I started it on the Twitch stream I did the other day, and he just started taking shape real quick. So I'm just gonna keep going on him. What do you think of that? So you'll have to forgive me if I don't say a whole lot in here. I just get to work in, and I kind of forget the camera's on, and if I get quiet, I apologize. But you can just kind of watch over my shoulder here to see kind of what I do. I'm just going to keep these videos kind of short. I'm only going to maybe do 10 minutes or so a piece and kind of just label them as such. That way it's not clogging up the YouTube too much. And I find that people's attention spans look much like my own, or if they're anything like me, they're probably pretty short in attention spans. So I try to, if I see a video that's a little longer than 10 minutes, my attention kind of disappears. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this real quick with a heat gun to kind of soften it up here a little bit. It's kind of chilly out here in the studio today. Give them a good once over here with the heat gun. Whew, hot! Why must I always burn myself? You'd think I'd learn after a while. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an example of what this lighter fluid will do with the softening of the details on this Chavant hard clay. I'm just going to go ahead and blast them again here just for good measure to kind of give them a good once over. Should be good, huh? So I'm going to just kind of start softening these features on this sculpt here. And I probably should be using a bigger brush for this, but I don't know. Maybe I'll switch to it. It's quite a bit to cover. I don't think I've got any other brushes, so I'm gonna have to clean this one real quick. I want to make sure I get all that old Chavant medium clay off of that brush before I start working. Looks like I've accomplished it. See, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I got way too much on my brush, and I just gave Slenderman here a bath in lighter fluid. Now the fun part would be just to take a lighter to it, take my torch. Who wants to see fires? So you can see how quickly this stuff starts to smooth. And again, I have yet to get my rake, so I'm going to have to make one of those. I was going to do it today, and then I just didn't get a chance to get over to the music store to pick up that guitar string that I was wanting to get. You can make a great little rake out of that and just make your own tools. And this Chavant hard clay is really awesome stuff, and blends really nice. But I also noticed that if you don't, you can't manipulate it as easy than the medium. The medium is when you apply the lighter fluid, it actually smooths a little easier. You can actually push and smear the clay around. This stuff here is very firm, and so you have to do more of your refining and details in the actual clay with the tools before you start to apply the lighter fluid, which is fine. I mean, it just takes me a little bit to get used to, because like I said, this and the Deadpool is my first two little busts practice pieces that I've done in this clay. So, and I'm loving it. It's good stuff. This holds the the lighter fluid evaporates off this pretty quick, and which is great, because with this Chavant medium, it had a tendency to hold on a little longer, meaning that it would be smushy and smeary for quite a while longer. So that's was one of the drawbacks to the Chavant medium. So there you can see how it's starting to take shape with the lighter fluid, just lighter fluid alone. And this brush, you can actually start to get good shapes being established just by smoothing it with this brush and this lighter fluid here. One of the little tricks that I was talking about in one of the other videos was you can take your heat gun and heat the clay up, and you can use a blow dryer as well, but I use a heat gun. But anyway, you can take your heat gun and actually heat the clay up, and then if you had a texture that you wanted to get across, so say you wanted to get like cloth in the clay itself. I don't think I have a t-shirt around to test that out to show you, but in another video I'll do a tutorial on solely getting texture. But you could actually soften up your clay, heat it up, do that, and then the lighter fluid will also help in aiding of the softening of the clay itself. But then you can actually just take your cloth or your stone or your whatever it is, your tree bark or whatever texture that you're wanting to replicate, you can soften the clay up and just press it directly into the clay, and then it will have a tendency to the clay will take the shape, and there you go. And I've done quite a few different clay or different textures. I've used orange peels, I've used lemon peel is good. It just replicates this amazing pore texture. It's pretty wild when you see it in action and up close. Rock makes a great texture. I don't know if I've got any. Well, I guess maybe I've got this. I don't know if you can see this or not, but if you there's a little bit of the texture there. Rock does this great little texture, and it adds just some depth to the sculpt itself. There you can see all that, and when the clay is moist or warm, I'll just press that rock in. But yeah, you can accomplish all kinds of stuff. You can also use sponges too. Sponges also make a great pore texture. Just good subtle detail that sponge will leave. It's the sea sponge. Actually, you can use pretty much any sponge, really, now that I think about it, because I've used makeup sponges, which are really fine pores on those, and then you can go all the way up to those big sea sponges, and those will make some really amazing random patterns. So those are cool. Just a little tip there. Like I said, I'll do a quick little tutorial on that. That'd be a good one, I think, for tonight to shoot, for maybe tomorrow or something. I don't know. So what would, you know, good quick question. What would everybody like to see from this channel? You know, I'm kind of up in the air. I'm not really sure exactly what I'd like to do. I know I've got my Toby Wayne Studios, which is the main banner, of course, and that was what I originally started with. Well, of course, when I go to shows, you know, it's Toby Wayne Studios, my website, everything's Toby Wayne Studios. And I created the Toby Wayne Show for Twitch because I had this idea that I wanted to do other things with that, such as, you know, review movies and, you know, like horror movies, talk about horror stories, spooky stuff, scary experiences, paranormal ghost stuff, you know, that kind of thing, live and interact with people there. And then, you know, just do crazy stuff like maybe do, you know, a Twitch stream on cooking or something. I like to cook. It's an odd thing. Whoops, I just kicked the tar out of my camera there. But anyway, please leave a comment for me here of what you would like to see. I'm curious to see what everybody has to say and what they'd like to see. I want to try to follow, you know, my own heart and do what I love to do, but I'd also thought about doing different things with this channel as well, you know, do different reviews or, you know, whatever. I've got other videos and stuff that I would like to do, but I'm not sure if people are so just strict on it being solely my sculpting or whatnot. I mean, it is my channel at the end of the day, but I want viewers. I want people to grow and to come to the channel and have a good time and enjoy what they're seeing too. So anyway, yeah, leave a comment in there and let me know what everybody thinks. I'm open to suggestions. So, and suggestions for future videos or anything. Talk to me, people, please. I'm pretty approachable. So anyway, yeah, that's not too bad. That's shaping up a little bit. You can definitely see the tool marks, which is a sign of a really solid clay that just holds its shape. I mean, I've gone over this quite a bit now, and you can still see little tiny pitted areas and stuff like that. So that's just going to come down to removing those tool marks. So suit's coming along pretty nice. I was going to say, see, this is on the other clay. This is where I would just take lighter fluid and just start smoothing it with the lighter fluid. Just put several coats of lighter fluid on there, and it would pretty much take its own shape, but and start to smooth itself out. But this is not Chavant medium. We're not doing that anymore. So might be a little more difficult to do. But you know what? Just for poos and giggles, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start smoothing this. I'm just going to start putting layers on here, and let's just see what happens, shall we? We're going to experiment together. Bob Ross would say, this is a happy accident if this thing goes cattywonk. This is happy lighter fluid. I remember the days of, you know, being out of school during a summer break, and I swear I was the only kid, you know, other than my brother, in the whole of all of the people that I knew growing up that would watch Bob Ross every single day. Every single day it was Bob Ross. Big inspirational person in my life. He was what kind of motivated me and encouraged me as an artist at a very young age. So I try to remember that when I go to shows and people start talking to me about it, and they say to me, oh, I can't do that. Yes, you can. You can do it. You just, some of us are gifted, a little more gifted, and some of us have to work a little more at it. But at the end of the day, you can do it. Just practice, practice, practice. So I'm gonna just go ahead and keep smoothing this over here, and this lighter fluid, it is aggressive, but with this stuff it does have a tendency to evaporate a little quicker. So we're just gonna keep brushing until it evaporates out. And also, if I'm not mistaken, I think I can even hit it with a blow dryer or a heat gun, and I think that will also help eliminate the lighter fluid, kind of soften it up a little bit. I want to hit that again. That's pretty heavy with lighter fluid. So, and you can oversaturate it with lighter fluid. Make no mistake about that. I mean, it's not bad unless you take your torch to it, and then it might go up. But other than that, it'll just evaporate out. Okay. So I think I will hit this real quick. So I see that I've got a nice little yeah. See, it's a little tacky. Not too bad. This will evaporate out eventually, but it's not as bad as the Chavant medium and the Chavant soft. The Chavant soft is it's just too mushy. That stuff is. Nothing against you, Chavant, but Chavant soft is just way too mushy for my liking. I've never liked that stuff. The first time I got it, I tried it, and I mean, we're not even in a hot environment. I'm in Oregon, and it's not hot at all. I take that back. It can get hot here, but a majority of the time, it is not very hot. So in the summer, when I was trying to work with that stuff, it would just smear everywhere. I mean, there was no controlling it. I mean, it just was all over the sculpt. So that kind of sucked. But in the winter months and stuff, that would be great clay for colder places. Would be awesome for that clay to really do the trick. But not here. Not in my studio. And I would like to do a review on this Chavant hard. I've been talking about it for a little while now, and I'm going to be looking forward to doing that review and letting everybody know what I think of that clay, because it's good stuff. I like it. And I like this color too. I think you'd seen the differences between the two colors. And I think I showed that in the last. I mean, I've got tons of this stuff. Here's this clay here. This is the Chavant medium, and this is the Chavant hard. Two different colors. So I think I need to work on my camera setup too. I could keep kicking this thing, and it makes for an unstable moment. Okay. Yeah, I think that lighter fluid was just a touch much. I think what I need to do is get a feel for this clay. I think I need to just do, as much as I can with the tools itself, and not apply lighter fluid until the absolute very end, and then that way it can take its time and evaporate. Because right now, if I go to try to work on this, it's just going to smear all over the place, because it still is softened. The chemicals and stuff are working on it. So one of the things I really want to emphasize on this piece itself are the and once I start fine-tuning this and dialing it in, will be the little things like I love on sculpts for expressions, especially when you're doing like a small bust. You only have X amount of stuff to work with. You're not getting a real dynamic pose out of just a bust. So I have to capitalize on facial expressions, tilt to the head, whatever. But in that situation also, with the clothes, I can really emphasize life and motion through the clothes. So I'll give you kind of an example here. Like this little corner, this lapel, what I'll do is I'll end up probably just building this up and flaring it out. And you'll see once I start to take shape here with these tools. Dynamic wrinkles and folds and the such with the clothes themselves, I think is what's really going to be helping to set this piece apart here. The only drawback is you have to be careful because of undercuts. You could flip this thing out so far that it actually has a pretty heavy undercut. Now, if you're using a glove mold or a block mold, you have to be a little more careful, but you can still get away with it because it's, you know, such a small undercut. But if I was to, you know, really bring this thing out, then it would could be a potential undercut hazard, as we like to say. And then, of course, what I want to accomplish here, normally I like to flare these up a little bit, so you can kind of see how I'll do this. I like to kind of flare it up so it has a little bit of like a little lapel lip kind of a deal. But I think because of Slenderman, I actually want to drag those down. I want that whole idea of just long and, you know, gaunt. So there you can even see just how easy that was, just to kind of drag those shoulders down. I want things to be hanging down low. And then what I might do is I want to try to avoid all this undercut area here. So what I may end up doing is just trimming this off just the slightest little bit, just to eliminate any major undercuts. And it'll be the same on this side. I'll just slice that edge off there to square up those edges. Now I see that it's off. This is lower. This side is lower than that side, so, which is okay. I mean, it's all symmetrics. You know, if you look at somebody, you know, and facial features and all that good stuff, nothing is ever the same, you know, so everything is off a little. Somebody has a lower earlobe than the, you know, one person's earlobe might be lower than the other. There might be one nostril bigger than the other, that type of stuff. So symmetrics are it's kind of nice to break it up. And so when it comes time, I'll probably put a nice texture on all of this area here and around the back too. Yeah, see, this clay is all, the lighter fluid has already 90+% evaporated out of it, and I can actually touch it without it. It leaves a little bit of a thumbprint, but that's okay. I mean, it's if this was Chavant medium, it would still be mushy probably for the next 15 minutes. So it's kind of nice to have that. Always a good thing to have reference photos too. Off camera, I've got a couple of really good reference photos of men's suits, so that comes into play, comes in handy, and I'll study those too. I don't want to bore everybody with these little monotonous details of me just sitting here in silence while I work on this, because I don't want it to be awkward for anybody. Yeah, like I'm not awkward in some ways, but yeah, I might just, because I'm doing these videos in pretty much in one take. I'm not even editing unless something major happens, but yeah, I don't want to bore people, so I might just try to keep these down to a dull roar, but and just make tons of little videos, tons and tons of little videos of like maybe anywhere from, I'd like to try to keep it to 5-6 minutes, somewhere in there, but obviously these types of sculpting videos are going to go longer. In fact, I think we're pushing 15-20 minutes now, I think. So yeah, so blocking in the shapes of the tie and where everything's going to go, and then once I get my photo references and the such pulled up, then I can really start tweaking and fine-tuning of what I want, because a lot of this is, you know, by just memory of certain things, and then other stuff I'm going to have to really dial it in, but I really want to try to make it as authentic as possible. And of course I'll have to let that lighter fluid completely evaporate out so that I can get some good texture and details back in there. And I might even flip one of these little lapels up, and you'll see it here in a few minutes of what I'm going to do, but same kind of deal as down here, but yeah, I think that's a little wider too than this one, so I may have to add a little bit there or cut a little bit of that off. That's the one thing about these types of videos that can happen, is I get so tunnel vision or so focused on a certain thing that I don't necessarily see everything else that's going on. You have to almost kind of step back and review it, you know, from different angles at different times to make sure that you're not, I mean, there's been times I've been so focused on a sculpture that when I'd mold it up and everything, and this is after me, you know, looking at it for hours, and I'll mold it up and I'll cast it, and I'll be like, you know, holy crap, the sculpture is actually crooked on the base, which is actually really disheartening, to be honest with you. In fact, I have no shame. I'll show you this. I have no worries about showing this. These are learning curves, but I had designed this. I was going to do this as a glove mold, and so I knew that going into it. But with that being said, look at how off-center this thing is from the base. So look at that. Isn't that crazy? Like this whole area is completely pushed this way, and even if I wanted to do a solid casting of this thing is crooked. Like how bizarre is that? That I was so focused on all these little details that I totally missed that. Technically, this thing should have been filled in, and this should have been cut over a little bit. But yeah, so it happens. You know, you get so focused on things that you don't quite, you know, you miss big things by focusing on such small detail. But yeah, that happens. That's gonna happen. That happens in everyday life. So I'm gonna have to pull up some images of men's ties, because I don't see the details and stuff that I'm looking for in my mind on this tie. I want to make sure I sculpt it proper, if you will. Yeah, it's starting to take shape here. And like I said, I'm only, you know, maybe 2 hours in on this piece, I think, so it came together pretty darn quick. That's how I know it's going to be a success, is usually the ones that are coming together this quick are the ones that are the most successful. So you can spend as much time on a sculpt as you want. For me, my goal is to actually pick up my pace. I find that I spend a lot of time dilly-dallying, if you will, if some of you may not know what that means, but you know, just kind of dragging my feet and not really, you know, I'll get so focused on this little tiny section right here that I don't see this, and I'll just spend forever on it. And in reality, I should have been done. It should take me 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and in reality it takes me an hour because I just get to thinking about it too much. So, and I'm actually liking this side much better than this side, so I think I'm gonna just go ahead and cut this down a little bit back here. Because it is a little thick, as I'm noticing. Jackets usually are not that thick, so. And then I'll add just a touch here. And then I'll just blend it. Yeah. So anyway, I think I'm just going to end this video because it is dragging on and I don't want to lose the attention span. So anyway, as usual, you guys are awesome. I appreciate you, each and every single person that takes the time to view this video. If you have any questions, comments, please feel free to ask away in the comments section. I'm pretty easy to get a hold of, so you can find me at TobyWayneStudios.com, Instagram, Toby Wayne Studios there. The Toby Wayne Show, you can come talk to me live as I'm working out here. That's a real good way to get an answer to a question. I have my Toby Wayne Studios Facebook. So yeah, you guys are awesome, and I appreciate you taking the time to view this video. And I'll be working on this little guy in several more videos. So anyway, thank you guys so much for checking this out, and I will catch you in the next video.